Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Championship Saturday here in the Junior LC8 as we're bringing you the 5th and 6th grade tackle varsity here on the Lorain County Sports Network. I'm Max Drummond. I'll be joined momentarily by Jared Vinecourt. We've also got Paul Williams on the camera, Duke on the operation of the stream, as we've made it through the first 9 weeks of the regular season and postseason, and so excited to bring you this conclusion between the Keystone Wildcats and the Firelands Falcons as coin toss is getting underway. Jared, we've made it through our first season here on YouTube, our second overall covering the Junior LC8. What a season it's been.
Yeah, indeed it has been, Max. I'm very excited for this championship game as we're going to take a pause for the national anthem.
Our national anthem finishing up right there, and as we hop into this final game of the season here, we'll just give you a quick update of how the first couple games here today went. Is in the 3rd and 4th grade padded flag. We had Keystone winning 24-0 over Columbia, and then rookie 4th and 5th game that featured probably a few athletes we'll see next season here in 5th and 6th. That one had Wellington defeat Firelands 28-20, and it now leads us into our third and final game of the evening here from Firelands High School between Keystone and hosting Firelands, as they both put on great performances last week.
Yeah, indeed they did. Let's break it down to you how they got up to this point. Firelands had a tough first round battle against Black River, defeating them here at Firelands High School 2 weeks ago with a double overtime victory, 12-6, and then they went on last week to beat Wellington, who had a first round bye, 12-0. As for Keystone, they have done damage amazingly offensively in their first 2 games. They beat Columbia, the defending champs, last year 30-0, and then last week beat Brookside 22-0. So both these teams getting dominant wins in dominant fashion and taking out the 2 teams who got the first round byes in Wellington and Brookside.
Yeah, that's a great point. We talked about it a little bit last week, how it really didn't serve us as a true advantage as it turned out, and now these teams who experienced an extra game each, nobody's on an advantage. There's a level playing field when it comes to rest and how many games played this season, and they actually faced off all the way back in week 1 where Keystone was able to come out on top of that one. So we'll see if the same can be said today, or if Firelands, who's at home here, can find a way to come out on top, as it is quite a chilly one, probably our coldest start time temperature for a game on Saturday this season. 49 degrees right now, sun, of course, already setting, so these kids are going to be playing under the lights like a Friday night matchup. Keystone will begin on offense here in this matchup, which means we'll see Connor Smith under center. However, the Wildcats are never under center. He'll be back in the shotgun, and we'll see how they choose to attack to start this game. And as you talked about in the pregame there, Jared, they are very effective and comfortable with a lot of different things on offense.
And the most points we've seen scored from a Junior LCA team all season was back in that first round, 30 points. And they've really done great offensively these last 2 weeks, and they'll look to continue to do that tonight.
And they aren't off to the best start to recreate that. It looked like a surprise snap coming back to Smith, but there was a false start, so they'll move back 5 to begin this game.
And it should be interesting to note today, Max, that last week we really saw Camden Weegley, number 21 of Keystone, for the first time really all season. We know Keystone is meant for their passing, but we haven't really seen much of their run game. We've seen them use Carter Ford, Benjamin Rideout occasionally, but they really use Camden Weegley on command last week.
He gave them a great power look out of that running game, and now we'll see that passing game as Spanos catches it. He's going down the numbers, makes one man miss, and gets up ahead past the first down. It looks like they'll get him all the way up to midfield or so to move the chains.
And Spanos, one of their number one targets all season long. They also have Leo Taylor. They could use Davin Belter as well. So expect big things, a lot of different weapons used tonight in this Keystone offense.
And it is good. You'll see the 22, Benjamin Rideout, heading off the field. Last week he left the game and was not able to return. Of course, not exactly sure with what, but he's out there and playing. So both of these teams pretty healthy at this point in the season. Now we'll see Weegley. And he's going to plunge ahead for a couple yards. Ball may have come out at the end, but he scoops it back up. So going back and showing off a bit of that power run game.
And Weegley, just a big force in nature. Not your typical 5th, 6th grader. He is a big specimen. And you just know, looking across the gridiron, whose growth spurt came a little bit earlier than others.
You got that right. Probably a couple jealous Falcons on the other side. Except for Andrew Draga, who was on the team last year, and he is definitely somebody to keep an eye on at the top of that defensive line. Now they'll throw in his direction and get it just past, as that will be Belter. He makes a couple men miss and gets another first down, once again through the air.
And Keystone looks like they're doing a good job getting the short, choppy passes, moving the chains slowly but surely. They look great to start out, look very comfortable.
That they are, and the colder temperatures really hasn't changed. That's philosophy on offense. And now they'll huddle up with the ball at the 38 as we're just over 7.5 to go on a running clock here in the opening quarter of the Junior LC8 championship game. Connor Smith communicating a couple things right now to James Pycraft as he's got Weegley offset behind him. He'll bring Ford in motion, but looks like a receiver may have flinched, and they'll move 5 yards back.
The front offensive line just got a little too jumpy, a little too eager to run that play, and that cost a false start penalty. Already the second one for Keystone on this drive. And we've seen it all season long, just like at any level, Max. Penalties are going to kill you, and you can't do that today if you want to win this championship.
You're absolutely right, and that's something that we've seen cleaned up a bit, the procedural stuff, as we've hit the home stretch of the playoffs, and it'll be ever more crucial today. Weegley will get it around the left side, but he is swallowed up there. Looks like that's going to be Liam Brown on the tackle. Gain of maybe 1, if that.
We just want to remind you all of this is possible due to our wonderful sponsors, Jamie's Carpet Shop, located in Elyria, Amherst, and Sandusky. Shopping made simple. Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. Stay safe, Lorain County. Semper Fi Plumbing. You can call them at 440-787-9138. Uncommon service is a common virtue with Semper Fi Plumbing. Brian Baker for Commissioner on November 5th. Rich Resendez for Sheriff on November 5th. Zabo Apparel, located at Liberty Avenue in Vermilion. Be game ready all year long. And Chris Kep of Slyman's Car Dealership in Amherst. Need a Jeep? Call Chris Kep at 440-420-0681.
And those great organizations and partners are going to be on your screen in logo form as well, on the scoreboard as well as during our break. So please support them and visit them if you get the chance. Actually, on the way out here, driving from Elyria, was able to drive past Jamie's Carpet Shop, and they've been with us since last season. They were the original sponsors, so a big thank you to them for being a part of this. And obviously, you mentioned the November election is right around the corner, so it
just amazes me that it's 50 degrees. Sure doesn't feel like it. And next week we're going to be heading into November, and it's going to be in the 70s. Like I don't understand it. Like it's just a big roller coaster right now with the weather. If they could just stay in the 70s the whole time until like December, that'd be great. But I don't think that's going to happen. This is Ohio, so.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few shifts here in these playoffs alone. And like you said, the high school playoffs start next week. It just continues to fluctuate. Back from a timeout now as Keystone will set up, throw it out to Weegley as he's going to get back the penalty yardage and make this third down a little bit easier for Keystone.
And we've seen Keystone go with the screen plays and the checkdowns, and it's worked well for them up to this point. But they're now facing a third down and minimal.
For Firelands, we see a lot of the teams opt for man-to-man look. Don't want to get too complicated too early with the scheming. And that's something, if you can get a blocker on who's ever supposed to be covering that guy, it springs these plays. And we've seen a lot of that in these Keystone matchups. Looks like Belter's going to head over to the left side, and we'll get 3 receivers to the right. Snap is back. Smith will get it. It's tipped in the air, and that's going to be the 21 of Draga. So he gets his hand on it and shuts down any chance of moving the chains.
And we talked about Draga, his speed on that left side, just a force to be reckoned with on the defensive end of this Fireland Falcons defense, and he had an amazing defensive play right there.
That he did, and looks like Keystone wants to think about it for a little longer here on this fourth down. So as they take a timeout, we will take one with them and be back here shortly on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here on the Lorain County Sports Network as the Jr LC8 Championship here from Firelands is off to a pretty good start for Keystone. However, they're facing a 4th and 5 with just over 5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Smith will get it. Throws it out left to the flats. Belter catches it, but he's going to be brought down 2 yards short of the 30, or at the 30, and it will be a turnover on downs.
And what a great first offensive stop by this Fireland Falcons defense. Just what they needed, just what the doctor ordered, and we'll see what they can do here now in their first offensive drive.
They bend but don't break there and capture the first moment of momentum here, and that's very impressive because this is a Keystone offense that has been rolling here in the playoffs. Now, Fireland's offense, on the other hand, they've had to rely on their defense to win a lot of these games and these close matchups they've been in, so we'll see what they have in store.
And with their run game, Branson Boos, Sam Lingus, Gavin Rosario, big backs for this Fireland Falcons offense, along with Harrison Leinhardt, too. So a lot of running weapons here for this Fireland Falcons offense. Let's see if they can get the passing going with their quarterback, Hunter McGuire.
So they'll do one of those sweeps that worked pretty well last week, and they'll pick up around 3 or 4 yards. Looks like that's going to be Leinhardt on the carry.
And Leinhardt, we saw towards the end of the season get more carries, more rushes for this Fireland Falcons offense. We didn't really see him at the beginning of the year, and we had these teams in week 1 here at Firelands High School all the way back in August, which seems like forever. Keystone got the victory 12-6. Obviously, these teams are completely different from week 1, but just something to note here in this championship game.
And we'll see who's made the most adjustments and progress from that point to now. Is 2nd down and 7. It's going to be a handoff this time, as that'll go to Gavin Rosario. Maybe gets a yard.
And we saw Fireland Falcons offense last week. They had some great passes for great distance, but they got taken back because of penalties. So they're going to have to make sure they don't hold on the offensive line, not jump too early, get the big plays in passing when they count most, and hopefully they can get the first lead of this game.
In that passing game you alluded to, it's been Hunter McGuire in at quarterback. Usually when we see the passing, sometimes Boos will take a snap or two.
In Wildcat formation.
That's right, and right now they'll stay with McGuire as it is around 3rd and 7 to go. leave open that possibility of passing in motion. That's going to be Lingus. They fake it to him, pass it out. Now, it might have been a backwards pass. It's caught either way, and it's going nowhere as Rosario couldn't escape the Wildcats defenders.
And that was a dangerous pass. They were lucky that they did not turn over the ball there. And we saw it last week, these teams struggling with the snap, and we'll see if that affects them here tonight as Firelands elects a 25-yard punt.
They'll do that, and that'll shift field position just past midfield. So a good starting point for Keystone, as there's just over 3 minutes remaining here in the first quarter. Still tied up at 0 apiece, as you can see on the lovely scoreboard up there being operated by Duke, as he's making sure we're staying live and on air here at the conclusion of this Junior LC8 season. And now the Wildcats will set up from their own 46. And it's always fascinating to see in these style of formations from Keystone, as just the 5 offensive line facing around 7-8 men in the box. So we'll see if they attack. If they do, Weegley goes around the left side, shoots through a nice hole there, and he gets a great pickup to start their second drive.
Best run that they've had so far in this game, and that's exactly what they need to start their second drive.
Already in enemy territory now as they get up to the 45. And in a second and short like this, and we know they're capable of going for big plays. Wonder if we'll see one here from Keystone, as it looks like a quick substitution. Weegley exits, may have had an issue with his helmet, so Rideout's going to come into the game instead.
And we'll see how much work Rideout gets here in this championship game. As we made it, he left the game last week due to injury, but they really like to motion him and use him for his arm, not only receiving-wise.
He won't be the target here, as it looked like there may have been some confusion between Ford and Smith on that play, Jared.
And we saw last week some plays that both teams, the communication wasn't there, so that, like you said, Max, could have been another one right there.
And it's Smith getting what he can, trying to fight for some yards, but he's dragged down short, so he may have gained an inch or two, but it's going to lead to third and very short here, and Firelands wants to make sure they're on the same page for it. So as they take a timeout, we'll step aside here for a moment. When we come back, we'll see what the Wildcats have in store for third and short here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here with 1:48 to go in the first quarter, as Keystone faces an all-important third down and inches. They'll give it to Weegley. He's been pretty successful running the ball. He'll be that once again, knocking a couple defenders to the ground, fighting through, and he muscles his way forward close to the 30. That'll move the chains.
What a second effort by Weegley, getting yards after contact, refusing to go down, getting the extra yardage for his team. What a great run by there to get the first down.
And this just shows the multiple ways they're able to attack, especially with Weegley now as an option, whereas in the regular season, I don't know if they were saving him or if they just knew come playoff time it'd be crucial to run the offense like this.
The determination.
So now they'll go the opposite, set up with all receivers out wide, nobody in the backfield. They'll get it. This one, Spanos, he had it, lost it. He jumps on it, maybe picked up a yard, but one official wants to give him the yard. Another one wants to mark it incomplete.
And we've seen that 2 or 3 times already here in the early going. Keystone not being able to hold on to the football. That could be nerves because this is a championship game, but something you have to consider with your Firelands. Got to be aware of that. Try to look for a strip fumble or some sorts. And you got to be aware of this clock. 40 seconds left here in the first quarter. We know there's only 9-minute quarters in the Junior LC8, and they fly by.
That they do, and we've seen some teams even take up full 17 of the 18 minutes, so it's definitely capable of happening again. And now Keystone looks like they'll try to run a play here before the end of the quarter. 20 seconds and running, as Jared alluded to. Short time left until the start of the second. Belter comes in motion, ball just misses him, and Smith maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage, but it's going to set up a 3rd and long to start the second quarter. And with that, each team will head towards the other end of the stadium, and we'll step aside, and when we come back, we'll have the start of the second quarter as Firelands and Keystone tied at 0 at the moment, but the Wildcats are on a drive here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here live on the Lorain County Sports Network. It's Championship Saturday here in the Junior LC8, and at the 5th and 6th grade level, here Keystone and Firelands playing a competitive opening quarter. Game tied up at 0 each, but Keystone has shown some success, and they're back deep into Firelands territory here to start the second. We'll see Smith drop back, and Weegley had it in his hands, did not possess it long enough, and that'll go incomplete.
And so far here in the early going, Connor Smith is throwing it into tight windows, into tight coverage. Got to be aware of that. Don't want to throw a mistake and cost your teammates, as Firelands could convert on a mistake if you let them.
Well, and we've already also, in addition to those tight windows, seen Draga be able to get his hand up and knock one down as well. So he's got to get it over these defensive ends too. And now here on 4th and long, got to imagine they'll take it down the field with their passing game. Smith will load up, go over the middle, and that's high-pointed and caught. Looks like Belter's spinning out of a tackle, refusing to go down. But he's going to have more than enough for that first down.
And that's the Keystone offense we know. They love the passing game, and Belter did a good job. 3 guys surrounding him, just able to jump up and make that catch.
And it was an impressive play on 4th down, and at the moment there is a Falcon down, so they're going to tend to him. While they do that, we'll go to a break for a moment and be back here shortly on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here from Firelands High School as Braylon Allen able to walk off under his own power, so we'll see if he comes back into this game or not. In the meantime, Keystone has moved the chains and now sets up inside the red zone. And a great draw play on display there as Weegley gets it up the middle. He's going to be stood up inside the 15.
And that was a great job there by Carter Ford. He went in motion, and Firelands initially thought they were going to go for that screen play on that right side, and it fooled them there for a second. That enabled Weegley to get some extra yardage for his team closer to the first down.
And that's a very interesting thing about this Keystone offense is they do run a lot of setup plays. We see where those screens, like you said there, either turn into a run play or where they'll fake that and attack down the field. So
Or they even play hot potato in the backfield. They do 3 or 4 handoffs just to fool off the defense.
So we'll see if they go for that here. It'll be Ford in motion. He gets it, trying to get around the edge, but he's going to be dragged down. Great hit that time by Emilio Contreras.
And it's good to see Emilio Contreras back. We know a few weeks ago he had to leave due to injury. It's good that he's able to recover and come back to play in this championship game.
They will certainly need guys like him out there to help turn the tide in a moment like this where it is now 3rd down. And on the first Keystone drive, we saw the Falcons able to step up, bend but don't break, and force a stop. We'll see if they can do it again here. Smith in the shotgun. Weegley next to him. He'll throw out right side. Belter catches in, cuts back in. And a nice collision there close to the 1st down marker.
And that was a great job by Connor Smith, able to get rid of that quickly because doing the initial pressure was Callan Cooley, and if he would have held that on for another second, that would have been a sack for the Firelands defense.
Thriving under pressure now are the Keystone Wildcats, and just under 7 minutes to go here on a moving clock in the 2nd quarter, looking for our first score of the evening. And that's right, we alluded to it in the open, but we are playing the night game under the lights here, so these kids are getting the full Friday night treatment.
I'm glad and happy these kids get to experience a game under the lights, but not at 7. I'm still not used to that.
It's a little chillier than usual. Weegley bouncing it outside, ignoring the goal, trying to stiff arm his way forward. Almost got away, but they're going to wrap him up after a nice little pickup.
That was a great job by Weegley, realizing there was nothing up to the middle, saw that the right side was free, able to get the yardage that they needed and close to the end zone.
And that's something we've seen a few times here in this postseason where he will almost immediately jump outside. And with his size, you wouldn't expect that, but he's really good at doing that and reading that.
And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks this year in the Jr LC8. They go for a play. There's no receivers open downfield. They disregard the play, and they just scramble. That looks like nothing turns into a big game. We've seen that a lot this year.
We'll try to keep that going here as ball is set up at the 1 yard line, maybe the 1.5. Either way, Keystone is knocking on the door of a touchdown here. Connor Smith will fake it. He tries to hit that outside, and he's going to lose the ball. There's a scrum for it in the end zone, and they're going to say Keystone jumped on it, so that'll be 6 points for the Wildcats.
Just like they drew it up, right, Max?
I'm sure the coaches, yeah, that's exactly how they saw that going.
You know, head coach Michael DeVore had his heart skip a beat there for a sec when they fumbled that ball, but a great job by Keystone to pounce on it and get the 6 points and the first score of this championship game.
It looked like they were able to do so, attacking that right side. And now they'll set up, and we've seen this quite a few times from them, for a 2-point conversion from the 5.
And I'm interested with that because championship game, you think it'd be more conservative to just go for the extra point, the 3. But no, head coach Michael DeVore wants the 2.
And we know the style of games that Firelands has played in, a lot of 6-point games, a lot of close scoring margins like that. So, like you talked about, if the points are a little bit easier there to get, you'd think they'd take them. But this is a team keeping with their identity as well. So now it looks like we're going to get Belter lining up at quarterback here. He's done it before. It is a bit of a wrinkle than what we're used to, and he'll do it to hand off to Weegley, trying to get away, and he loves that right side. He'll get around in, making it 8-0. Wildcats here with 6:17 to go in the 2nd quarter. When we come back, we'll see if Firelands can respond here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here in the 2nd quarter as Firelands offense will now take the field, looking to respond to a Keystone touchdown and 2-point conversion. They'll begin this drive with the 11 of Gavin Rosario, trying to fight for what he can, only picks up about 1.
And so far here in the early going, the Fireland Falcons run game has no answer for this Keystone defense. I mean, we've seen it the last 2 weeks. They haven't even given up a point, Max. So Keystone really doing a great job on both sides of the ball, especially here in the playoffs when it matters most.
And that's been thanks to their linebackers. I mean, and there's a guy up front, Grady Bullock at number 68, one of the ends. But Levi DeVore is a guy's name we've called a lot, and that may continue tonight, especially with all of the runs he will see from Firelands. Falcons set up 2nd and 9 as they're going to roll out. McGuire throws it, and it's just out of reach of Contreras. And those play-action passes of where they found most of their success downfield.
And they almost had success right there, Max. There was just too much pressure committed by the defensive line of Keystone. So McGuire had to get rid of that in a hurry, and with that pressure, just threw it a little too high.
So now it'll bring up a 3rd and 9 as they're at their own 36. Just around 5.5 to go until halftime. So now this feels like, unfortunately for Firelands offense, a predictable spot facing 3rd and long. We'll see if they go against convention. They'll run it around the left side, and we just talked about him. Levi DeVore wraps up that play, and they lose a couple.
And he's going to be a special kid for the Keystone High School squad, especially defensively as he grows older. What a stop there from Levi DeVore.
So it looks like that will lead to the punt. So the coach's son here on the staff, he will end that drive, and now exactly 5 minutes remaining in the second. We'll see Keystone's offense get yet another shot as they're 1 for 2 so far here in this first half. And they're going to start at their own 42, so pretty good field position the last 2 drives.
And it looks like they'll start at the 42-yard line.
So now it looks like we'll return to having Connor Smith in that backfield at quarterback. As he gets it, gives it to Weegley, who, as Jared mentioned, they'll do a couple double handoffs. They do it there as Weegley gave it off to Ford, who starts the drive off with a nice pickup.
Yeah, it gets the defensive players off balance. They thought they're going to have to go to the left, and they had to go to the right and readjust. And they were good thing they did that. I think it gave enough a big play.
That really, it tests you at any level, but especially the discipline to stay home and remain in your gap responsibility on the backside. And like you said, it came in handy there, preventing anything bigger of a play. And we'll hear this Firelands crowd get a little fired up here to try to help their defense out, and it may have led to that false start. So that's the 3rd time now we've seen the Wildcats struggle with that.
And they actually called offsides on Firelands.
Man, so I was caught looking at the Keystone side, and it was likely out of reaction to the Falcons. So that'll move the chains now.
A costly penalty by Firelands. That's their first penalty of the game.
And like you said, they've been pretty clean up to that and up to that point when it came to either turnovers or penalties. But now it cost them a chance to get Keystone off the field. Ford will go in motion as he's going to go down the sideline. They'll throw it up to him, and he catches up to that ball. He's racing down the sideline and is going to get chased. They won't catch him. He's going to score. Touchdown, Keystone. 48 yards.
What a great play call by Michael DeVore. We've seen it all year long from Keystone. Man goes in motion, then he just bolts down the sideline, creates separation from that man coverage, and in for the touchdown. What a play. What a score.
What a score indeed. And we've seen that play, like you said, called a few times this year. And in this game, they basically used the motion man as a blocker, and that time it duped the Falcons defense, who now faces a 14-point deficit with 3:43 to go until the half.
And again, Keystone will elect to go for 2.
So they're maintaining what's gotten them here. And for a coaching staff that trusts their team here, it's a great philosophy and strategy to have in place. Now we'll see 5 wide. Can't guarantee they'll stay in this spot. They will, though. Smith loads up, goes over to the left side, and very close to being picked off. Contreras gets in front of that and bats it down. So after that score, it will remain 14-0 Keystone, and we will step aside, come back, and see what Firelands can do on offense here on the Lorain County Sports Network. We return to action here with 3:43 to go in the second quarter. As after the 2-point conversion attempt, we did see Julian DiFilippo slow to get up, so now he's over to the sideline, and the Falcons offense is on the field. See a nice play there. Branson Boost makes a man miss right away. Makes another one. He's cutting back across the formation. It'll only go as 5, but he certainly had to run a lot more yards than that.
And he almost got loose on that left side. He only had one man to beat. If he would have done that, he would have been in the end zone.
And the play started with Weegley in the backfield immediately. And we've seen him be very dominant on both sides of the ball before, but he gets his ankles caught up there. And this may be what the Firelands offense needs, a little shot in the arm, a little different look. We'll see them come back out in the pistol as Boost will remain in at quarterback. He gets it, immediately makes a cut, and he's going to roll forward, get another yard or so. And now with 2:50 to go on a running clock, they may have to consider that here in their play calling.
And it's interesting to see that Boost, the last 2 plays, has just gone QB draw up the middle. Wonder what head coach Matt DiFilippo's thinking is.
And it looks like we're going to have a little bit more time to think about it as we have an injured Falcon. So while they tend to him, we'll go to break. And when we come back, we'll bring you that third down for Firelands here on the Lorain County Sports Network. And just off your camera there, you'll see Captain Case Rittenauer exiting the game. So it's definitely not a guy they can afford to lose here in a moment like this, as we're at 2.5 to go in the second. 3rd and 4 here, and we'll see a handoff around the left side. It's a sweep going to Emilio Contreras, but he's not going to be able to get away, and another 4th down to deal with for the Falcons.
And what do you do here if you're the Falcons? Do you elect the 25-yard punt? Do you go for it? Short time here in the first half.
It is a tricky spot because you want to be able to gain any momentum you can going into halftime, but Keystone's offense, starting at the 40, that's right in their wheelhouse, and they definitely be able to score before the half.
And it looked like for a moment that Firelands was going to go for it.
It did have the offense on the field, but now it looks like they're going to let the clock run down before they do this punt. So the clock will stop, and they will flip the field now, and looks like Firelands will try to make Keystone go a little bit further here for their offense.
And Keystone still has one timeout. They got a minute and 39 to work with. It definitely is manageable for them here, probably with their last drive of the half.
And in this spot, we'll see how creative they get. Obviously, we've already seen quite a bit of this playbook, but I'm sure there's even a couple more tricks up their sleeve. And, I mean, this is it. This is the final time to use it for the 2024 season. So that's something that Firelands is going to have to keep an eye on. So now Keystone, their offense will set up at their own 35. And we'll see Weegley, they'll fake it to him and try to end around over to maybe Rideout, who was on the receiving end of that. And he'll cut it up immediately. Oh, it's going to be forward. So 2nd and 5 now. As you mentioned, Jared, they do have that one timeout left, but moving a little slower than maybe you'd like right now.
Doesn't seem like they're in a hurry. Doesn't seem like they're going to use that timeout or try to march down the field with short time. I think they're content with this 14-0 lead going into the half.
It very well could be, as this type of a lead may be enough to help deliver them a championship. So Weegley will get an end around, or a sweep rather, and he's going to get up ahead. He cuts back, and he's still going inside the opposing 45. And it looks like they'll stop the clock. Can't tell if that's because he got out of bounds or it's because it's a first down. So we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on the officials here and what they call. So it looks like they will say he got out, and Firelands will make some substitutions as a result. Ball now at the 43 of Firelands. There's 48 seconds to go here in this first half. Belter in motion. We'll throw it over to Spanos, and he can't get away. Out there was the defensive end, Liam Brown, so he's been all over the field tonight.
And with 35 seconds left, I think Keystone is going to let this run to the half.
As Smith will re-enter the huddle. Yes, you would assume in a spot like that where they're brought down inbounds and losing yardage, they would burn that time out if they were focused on scoring. So now it's 15 to go. Seconds, that is. And we could see a Hail Mary attempt, maybe. Or whatever trick play they do have for a spot like this. 3, 2, so the ball is snapped. This will be the final play of the half. He's going to heave it. And in the middle of several Falcons, it'll fall incomplete, as Davin Belter was the target on that play. So we'll go to halftime here from Firelands High School now, as Keystone takes with them a 14-0 advantage. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll recap you how we got to this point and look ahead to the second half of this championship game here in the Junior LC8 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here in halftime of the Junior LC8 5th and 6th grade championship between the Keystone Wildcats and the Firelands Falcons at the moment. Keystone is holding a 14-0 advantage, as it was a pretty efficient half for them, and they were able to get a couple scores on the board there, Jared.
Yeah, it all started with the Connor Smith fumble touchdown to start it off, and then the 48-yard touchdown pass to Ford to make it 14-0. Was able to convert on the 2-point conversion the second time around by Weegley, and that's where we stand at the moment.
And you alluded to that touchdown catch and run by Carter Ford. I thought during the play, okay, he's got a chance to pick up a nice gain. No part of me thought he was going to be able to separate like he did and reach that pylon, but that's that type of speed and also great play calling we've seen on display all postseason from the Wildcats. So during halftime there, you got to see some logos on screen, and those, in case you're wondering, or if this is your first week tuning in, are the great organizations and the reasons we are able to be out in a stadium every Saturday. And just to give you a rundown, a little more information about each of them: Jamie's Carpet Shop in Elyria, Amherst, and Sandusky. It's shopping made simple with Jamie's Carpet Shop. Also, Semper Fi Plumbing. Uncommon service is a common virtue with Semper Fi Plumbing. Zabo Apparel on Liberty Avenue in Vermilion. Be game ready all year long, just like we are, as they provide all of our great apparel and hoodies, helping keep us warm right now. And we'll also look at Rich Resendez for Sheriff on November 5th, as well as Brian Baker for Commissioner on November 5th. Chris Kep of Slimans in Amherst. Need a Jeep, call Chris Kep at 440-420-0681. And Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. Stay safe, Lorain County. Now Firelands will get the third quarter underway. Snap back. McGuire is back in at quarterback after we saw a little Branson boost to end the first half. They'll go up the middle for maybe a yard.
And Firelands has no room for error here. They're going to have to score, and they're going to have to score fast. We know how fast these quarters run by here in the Junior LCA, only 9 minutes. And with their run game, that's going to run off some clock too. So they got to score, and they got to get the ball back right away, down 2 possessions.
That they do, and already 30 seconds gone here, and we know time can move very quickly in these quarters. And that's something maybe in this spot Firelands wouldn't mind. Obviously, you need to come back from 2 possessions, but the longer that Keystone offense is off the field here, that's better for them. And we'll see a handoff. Lionheart, who only got around 1 carry in that first half, cuts nicely and gets around 4 or 5.
That was great by Lionheart to get yards after contact there, fighting for that extra yardage. Now it makes it 3rd and manageable. And like you said, Max, Lionheart really hasn't got many carries here tonight. And we haven't really seen a lot of carries from Lingus or in Rosario. It's just mainly been boost tonight. So a lot of running backs not getting the runs tonight.
And that's something that helped kind of spark their offense last week, and we saw them be able to move the ball in chunks and stay ahead of the chains. So 3rd down and 4. They'll give it again to Lionheart, plunging ahead, and the official on the top of your screen will say he is good enough there to move the chains. So we'll now set up at the 45-yard line or so.
And that's what the Fireland Falcons need. They need that first down. They need to build some momentum here in the second half to come back in this game.
We'll try to keep doing so here, as we're just over 7 minutes remaining. You heard me allude to the top of the screen, and the man making it possible to get all these great shots of the actions, Paul Williams, on there and braving it in the cold. Up here in the booth, got myself, Jared Vinecourt, providing analyst commentary, and Duke making sure the stream is up and running and good to go. And speaking of good to go, another positive play for the Falcons here.
And Lionheart starting to feel it, starting to get in a groove. That's all fine and dandy, but you're facing the clock right now, down 2 scores.
That's right, you alluded to it. They're over 2 minutes gone now, and we'll see Branson Boost come into the ball game here. Looks like in exchanging effort for McGuire, so maybe we'll see a little bit more of that Wildcat now.
And if you're Keystone, you got to be looking for that.
We'll see if they noticed it here as Firelands breaks their huddle, coming to the line just past the 50. Boost in the pistol with the back behind him. And they're going to give it around the edge, getting away from Bolek, and now throwing it in the air. And that one's going to fall incomplete. It was batted around. Looked like Contreras is the one that let that pass fly. But there is a flag down.
I think it's going to be an eligible man downfield on Firelands. So one of the linemen got a little too excited towards the end of that play and cost that penalty. And a nice design play by the Fireland Falcons. We initially thought Boost was just going to run it straight up, but then hand it over to Lingus to try to get a positive passing gain. Nice design play there, just not able to execute it.
Well, you're right. Normally when we've seen those either passes from somebody not the quarterback, it's either on a pitch, like a halfback toss turning into one, a flea flicker, or a double pass out to a receiver. This is one of those first ones we've seen a jet sweep turn into a pass. And like you said, a couple, maybe more than one lineman trying to sell the run a little bit too heavy there. So all in all, it'll end up 2nd and 9. So they didn't lose the down on that play. Running hard here. Lionheart gets up the middle, finds a nice crease, and that's going to get up inside the 45, back into plus territory. First down for Firelands.
And that was a great block on that left side by Abraham Tobakash, able to create that hole and able Lionheart to get a positive gain. Lionheart really finding a really good job on the left side.
So now they'll set up 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line of Keystone. McGuire back in the game at quarterback. He'll get it. Same play call. Lionheart cutting across. So, like he said, he's finding a lot of comfortability over there on the left side of that defense. Looks like they'll give him around 6 or 7 yards there. This is the first drive of the game that we've seen Firelands been able to show some sustainability and staying ahead of these chains.
And they got to keep the pace moving, keep moving quickly. They have already sustained 4 minutes and counting in this opening drive in the second half.
You're absolutely right. This third quarter, it's flying by right now. One of the positives coming out of that is Connor Smith and those receivers aren't able to be on the field on offense. So this time they'll fake the handoff. Weegley pursuing McGuire there. He hits him. McGuire is able to get that ball out, but it'll fall incomplete as they will get McGuire back up, and he'll run towards the sideline.
And with 3rd down, you got to think this is 4th down territory. So if I'm Keystone here, I'm looking for Lionheart to go back on that left side.
It definitely feels like if it isn't broke, don't fix it kind of scenario. And like you said, that even stops the clock. So it was a great job there to get that out before Weegley was able to sack him. 4:17 to go officially here in the third as the Falcons come up to the line. See a couple high knees on either sideline trying to stay warm as we're into the 40s tonight here in the final week of October. Firelands will give it up the middle, and that play's blown up. That's going to be the 5. Looks like Andrew Brubaker finishing off that play.
First time we've called his name this season. That was a big stop for Brubaker.
Huge loss, and what was a 3rd and 4 now becomes a 4th and 7. And that was with Hunter McGuire trying to kind of shake his arm out after taking the hit a couple plays ago. Falcons in a tough spot here, under 4 minutes to go in the third.
And they're going to set him up right at the 40-yard line.
Looks like Lionheart will be behind McGuire. One receiver out either side of the formation. He'll bring one of them in motion. Looks like Lingus, he'll get it. Runs into some traffic, having to cut up immediately, and Weegley's going to rip him down there. And tell you what, that pressure almost gave that play no chance.
And a big stop by this Keystone defense. They're now cruising, getting their first possession of the second half.
We talked a little bit about taking up some possession, keeping that offense off the field for Keystone, but when you come away with no points, now it works against you. Even though you developed a bit of a rhythm, you may only get one or two more chances on offense here in the final half. So here comes that Wildcats offense now, who scored on 2 of their 4 possessions in the first half, and the final one, they just had to resort to almost a Hail Mary-like attempt. So 3:19 remaining in the third. Weegley immediately goes up and then tries to bounce it outside. That's 21 on 21. Draga wrapped him up and did not let him go.
And we've seen that a lot tonight. Both teams trying to throw in those tight windows, almost costing them turnovers. That was another one right there.
And Draga, I mean, he'd seen a couple of those bounce outside by Weegley. He refused to let him do it again. And you know it's a lot tougher to do so on his side of the field, running it regardless, but trying to beat him to the edge. You touched on his speed earlier in the game, and he showed that and the strength there. As ahead of this play, him and Brown will switch sides. We'll see if that affects Keystone's decision what to do. And they'll run left, and Weegley gives it off to Ford, getting around the outside. Finds a nice block. Stood up, but he's still fighting for more yards as he gets close to midfield.
Leo Taylor there with that nice block on that left side. And again, that trickery play that Keystone likes to run, 2 handoffs in 1 play. That was another one right there. Nice positive game.
That it was, and it now makes it a 4th and we'll say around 4.5 to go as we hit the 2-minute mark until the start of the 4th quarter. Could be gut check time here for Firelands as their defense has been able to step up a couple times here in this game. They'll need it here, certainly. Play action, loading up, going outside, and that's over the head of a Firelands defender. Caught by Belter, dragged down, but not after a first down inside the 40 of Falcons territory.
And Belter just beats Lingus one-on-one there on that right side. Cuts over on that out route. Beautiful play. Nice gainage right there.
Those corner routes, they've been something special this year for that Keystone offense, and that also just speaks to the anticipation on these throws by Connor Smith. So 1st and 10 here from the 37, with just over a minute to go in the third. Weegley will be offset to the left of Smith. And they'll fake it to him. And, I mean, that A-gap parted like the Red Sea, Jared. That's close to another first down.
And Keystone, and they are going to give him the first down. They're going to move the chains. Keystone's doing a great job here on this drive, maintaining the clock, getting positive yardage on all their plays. Really just doing a great job in this championship game.
They really are. They have not missed a beat from the last couple weeks. As that play is carried over into this game here tonight. So we're now at 45 seconds to go for the third quarter. Keystone, of course, protecting that 14-0 lead they built up in the first half. Smith will get the snap. Looks like the far side official at the top of your screen saw somebody move early. So even despite a few of those false starts and procedural penalties, it really hasn't affected Keystone tonight.
No, we haven't really seen a lot of penalties in general. Been a lot of clean football here tonight by both teams.
That has to speak to the preparation and discipline by these coaching staffs. And it's the reason they're both here tonight. I mean, we started these playoffs with many more teams, obviously just down to the final 2. And we're going to head to the final quarter of play here in the championship game. As when we come back, we'll see if Keystone can keep this drive moving here up 14-0 on Firelands on the Lorain County Sports Network. Fourth quarter about to get underway here in the Junior LC8 Championship, and we so appreciate all of you watching, being along with us all season long, and for commenting below. Also, liking the video and the stream. Don't forget to do that, as Keystone's liking how it's playing out here to start the fourth. As Weegley fighting ahead, close to or past the original line of scrimmage.
Make sure you like and follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well. Don't forget about that. Playoffs for Friday Night Lights will start next week. We'll have 2 radio streams, and we'll get those to you as soon as we know, along with Lorain County Hoops starting up as well soon too.
That's right. There's a lot to keep track of, and the easiest way to do that is by following all those sources of information. So there's 8:44 to go here in the fourth, and we do have an injury on the field. Looks like they're going to get Abram Tobakash over to the sideline as he walks over there under his own power. So we'll keep it here as Keystone returns to the field of play. And you mentioned it there, the playoffs getting underway. Obviously, the finale to the regular season last night, where Keystone's high school team was able to win the conference outright in the Lorain County League. Well, we've got a chance for a sweep here at this level.
Keystone football is going up levels
in
LaGrange, Ohio.
That's right. Certainly in a great spot right there. That pass is going to be just short, kind of at the feet of Benjamin Rideout. So that brings up third down and close to 5 or 6. And we talk about the sweep right there. Well, last season, Columbia, their Junior LCA team in the 5th and 6th grade group, was able to win a championship, and their high school varsity team won a conference championship. So we might be starting to see a trend here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Weegley will get it this time, cutting it outside, then up. He stiff arms a man, and he's going to get to the goal line and in. Touchdown, Keystone. And that'll make it a 3-possession game here with 8:08 to go in the fourth quarter.
And a 23-yard run by the big man. Another impressive run from Weegley, as he's done the last 2 games we've seen him play.
He's certainly come up huge for them here in the playoffs and continues to do so in the title game here. So it'll be a 20-0 lead and no change-up. Another 2-point conversion coming your way now, as they'll set up at the 5. Connor Smith delivers the play call, and a couple last-second adjustments here. There's going to be a trips at the bottom of your screen, and Weegley in the backfield with Smith. He'll look that way of the trips, and he's going to sail it over everybody's head, so it'll harmlessly fall incomplete, but it'll be no good and remain 20-0. So now Firelands offense will take the field, and they were able to get some good success going on that last drive, but just weren't able to finish it off with any points. Now they're in a spot where it was 9 minutes to start the third quarter, and they took up over 6, maybe 7 of that. Now with 8 to go here, we'll see if they pull out any trick plays or try with any more urgency. They'll set up here at the 35 as Keystone will take the field now on defense. McGuire back in the game at quarterback, as here in this championship game we've seen him and Boos rotate a bit. He'll get the snap, hand it off. We saw this a bit last drive as Lionheart does what he can to get a few yards.
And it looked like initially Keystone offensive line jumped a little bit early, but no flag thrown.
I do agree that one was certainly close. Maybe trying to time the snap or so there, but.
And it's always a timing thing, especially defensive ends trying to rush the quarterback as quickly as possible. That could have been another one right there.
And you got to imagine they're in a situation where we could see a few more passes. It's almost exclusively been out of the play action when we've seen Firelands do it, so we'll see if they have any other wrinkles to throw in. Lionheart gets it, and he's going to run right into the awaiting arms of Grady Bullock. spins him down, and that'll bring up a 3rd and long. Before we get to that, though, Keystone coaches will come out to tend to an injured player. So we'll take a quick break and come back when we're ready to go after this injury timeout on the Lorain County Sports Network. Back here in the 4th quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network, as it is Championship Saturday. In case you're just joining us or missed the open, we did have a couple other finals from earlier in the day here at Firelands High School. The padded 3rd and 4th grade teams, Keystone won that one 24-0 over Columbia, and in rookie 4th and 5th, Wellington defeated Firelands 28-20. So Keystone not only looking to sweep the 5th and 6th in high school, they also picked up a nice win for their 3rd and 4th grade team.
And we were watching that 4th and 5th grade game before we went on between Wellington and Firelands, and that was a great back and forth game. Very entertaining.
You're absolutely right about that. I can't imagine how I forgot to bring that up sooner. I mean, we just saw score after score. It was 20-0 at one point. It ended up 28-20 because there were so many electric plays in the final 2 quarters.
And great representation for the Firelands youth. They have 2 teams in the finals.
That they do, and then that snap's going to go low. Falling on it will be Gavin Rosario. So it'll save the possession, but now it brings up a 4th and we'll say maybe around close to 17 or 18 yards to go. And it looks like we'll get a timeout on the field, as it could be in place of a punt. So while they decide what they'll do there, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll figure out what Firelands wants to do on this 4th down here on the Lorain County Sports Network. So after coming to 4th down and 18 or so, Firelands choosing to do the 25-yard punt. So now Keystone will set up at the 50-yard line with 5:09 to go, up 22-0 here in the 4th quarter. It's a Keystone offense that we've seen been able to attack in a lot of different ways. Got to imagine that ground game will be in effect here, as Rideout will get in on some deception. Gets around a few defenders and runs over another. And Rideout was somebody that we saw them use a lot in the regular season, just haven't really needed him here in these playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because of due to his injury, or they changed their playbook up a bit. But we've seen all season long, whether Rideout is running the ball or not, they have a lot of different offensive weapons, and they're showing it here tonight.
And not only have they helped build this lead, but they'll be crucial in finishing off this game here and running through the clock. So 2nd down and 3 from the 43. So we're here at Firelands High School. A big thank you and shout out to all the high school stadiums offering up the use here on Saturday afternoons, and happens to be tonight, Saturday evening.
Yeah, this is our third time being here at Firelands this season. We are at Brookside twice. We were also at Wellington and Black River. Unfortunately, we couldn't go to Vermilion
Went to
due to
LaGrange a
weather.
couple times.
Went to where?
LaGrange a couple times.
Oh,
We got
yeah,
to
went
see
to
the
Keystone a couple
Wildcat.
times, too. I forgot about that.
So we got to venture across the LC8. So they pick up the first down there and continue to move into Firelands territory. Here at Firelands last night, you may have tuned in on YouTube right here on this page and seen the Falcons pick up a big senior night win over Wellington. As we see Weegley go around the right side. Can't get away from those Falcons there.
And it just amazes me. I don't care how big of the timestamp is or not, but I'm looking at rosters here from August 17th, 2024, when we started in week 1. And that was over 3 months ago. Or 2 months ago, excuse me. I can't do math. But either way, the timestamps is just amazing that in about 3 minutes the season is going to be over.
That's right, and it's one that brought a lot of hard work into it for these kids as they continue to build up their football resumes and career. And in a few years, a lot of these same names you'll hopefully be hearing on YouTube, through video, and on the radio. As Smith will have that pass go incomplete. And that's the biggest reason we're out here, because we want these kids to know exactly where they can go to find their coverage and development of their game.
It's all about the kids. It's all about the kids.
And I think it'll be an awesome thing when they hit high school to be able to look back. They'll see where they were at one point as a football player, and then hopefully what they grow to be. So,
and I think the kids can agree that everyone is freezing right now as the weather continues to drop.
And there's a few hand warmers out there, and that looked like that ball hit the ground as Levi DeVore had to jump on it. So they'll lose a couple yards and bring up fourth down now. Possibly giving Firelands another shot on offense here with 2:40 to go in the ballgame. As we're here, this is our second full season of coverage of the Junior LC8. Last season was exclusively on radio, but those are still archived on WOBL Radio SoundCloud. So if you're on those teams, or if you were interested in looking back at that and seeing how they ended up with Columbia on top at the end of the 2023 season, you do that. And then it's our first season doing this here on YouTube and putting out video streams. So it's been a great success, and a big thank you to the station owners, Gary and Renee Tollett, for making it possible and having us out here, as well as our great sponsors, as you will see them looping on that scoreboard. Just to remind you of who they are and to make sure you support them, as Jamie's Carpet Shop, shopping made simple. Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson, Stay Safe Lorain County. Semper Fi Plumbing, if you need a plumber, well, they're locally owned and operated. Give them a call, 440-787-9138. Chris Kep of Slimans over in Amherst, not too far from here. If you need that Jeep, make sure it's Chris Kep, 440-420-0681. Zabo Apparel up in Vermilion. And Rich Resendez for Sheriff and Brian Baker for Commissioner on November 5th. Just a big thank you to all of them. So on this fourth down, we're going to see them go up top here. Smith looking for Belter, but it'll be broken up, fall incomplete, and give Firelands the ball with 2:28 to go here in the fourth.
Firelands will get to have one last offensive drive before the season comes to an end.
And this is for a group that, for Firelands, has a good mix. They got a good amount of turnout here this season with several 5th and 6th graders. And you may have heard some medal claim behind us. Those are actually the medals and the trophies for the winning team, which at this point will likely be Keystone. So they're going to get some gold medals in a sense around them. And we had Olympics over the summer. They're going to get something that somewhat resembles that here. And there's going to be a big championship trophy that'll be presented as well. So a very exciting culmination of all their hard work. Now Firelands will give it off to Lingus that time around the right side as he tries to find an opening there. Gets a couple yards.
Both teams did a great job this season making it the championship game. Both earning some hardware, well deserved.
They both went on runs at the right time, too, and that's something we didn't have last year. There were no bye weeks for any of the teams, and this year we had a couple as they both ended up being eliminated in matchups last week, Wellington and Brookside. So these teams, they had to play in the wild card, if you will. And
I've never been a fan of the bye. I hate byes. I don't know why byes exist. It's like, for me as a wrestler, you know, you have a first-round bye. You just warmed up for 30 to 45 minutes. You lose your sweat. You lose the blood flow. Then you have to sit in the cold bleachers in the cold gym.
Well, those other teams, they can get a little energy just like this stadium got as Lingus catches that pass. He's running down the sideline, tries to make a man miss, and he'll get tackled around the 11. So Firelands still has a little bit left in the tank here, and it showed on that pass. We're down to 1:25 to go here in the fourth as Sam Lingus with a great catch and run after getting the pass from McGuire.
And the Falcons would love to score here before the time runs out. They have 1:20 left. Let's see if they can do it with 2 timeouts remaining.
They'll set up at the 11. And looks like the officials will stop play for a moment as the chain gang has to catch up. They couldn't even keep up with that speed.
They got to hustle too, just like the players.
And Lingus outran everybody, including them. So now they're in place, ready to go.
They're locked and loaded.
Boost will set up in the pistol. And he's going to keep that, no question about it. And he gets hit hard there, around the 10. So maybe gets a yard. And we'll see if Firelands chooses to use a timeout or not. Doesn't appear they will, as they'll rush McGuire out there, bring Boost out of the ball game. We'll also see the 11 of Rosario head to the sideline. So they've got 53 seconds and counting. Here's 2nd down and 9 from the 10. Keystone looking to hold on for the shutout here in this championship game. We'll see if Firelands has something for him here. Pistol formation, McGuire gets it, hands it off. Lionheart cutting through the defense, diving, gets close. They'll mark him down at around the 1. And now we'll see the first timeout, or the second timeout, excuse me, used here by Firelands. So we'll take one with them, and when we come back, we'll see what they have in store for 3rd down and 1 from the 2-yard line here on the Lorain County Sports Network. .30 seconds to go here in the 4th quarter. Firelands looking to get into the end zone as McGuire sets up. It's 3rd down and 1. We'll give it a little end around and believe that's going to be Contreras. Stood up, and he might even lose a half yard. So that's going to bring up now 4th down with 18 seconds to go in the ball game.
And they finally used their timeout. I was waiting for them to call it, and they had 15 seconds left. 1 play left to try to score here in this championship game.
In that Keystone sideline, hearing some cheers from the cheer squad out there, getting them hyped up. As this defense, though, they're locked in. That coaching staff still getting on them, reminding them we need this shutout. But Firelands looking to close out the 2024 season on a strong note. So it's officially going to stack up as a 2-yard loss, and they'll be right around the 4-yard line. Now, the way that the yard marker is, it appears that the line to gain might be inside the 1-yard line or right at it. So they could still remain on the field even without a touchdown here, folks. And with 15 seconds to go, it'll really test their urgency. So now they're getting everybody in place. as Lingus will go to the top of your screen, and at the bottom will be Julian DiFilippo. It's Linehart behind McGuire. Lingus goes in motion. They fake it to him. Pass out. It's going to be caught by Linehart. Fighting his way forward. He's going to be rolled down at the 1. Tough to tell, so the clock will stop. They'll give him the first down. Keystone thinks it's over. This is going to be a tough call to decipher.
With the first down, the clock does stop.
So the officials are communicating it, and they're trying to alert the Keystone sideline. Tough, can't tell what they're going to do.
They have 3 seconds. They have time to run one more play if they choose to do so. It's first down on the 1.
So one official is signaling to set up at the 1, another pointing towards midfield. So they will try to bring Keystone back, but they're already celebrating. As we'll see if we can get a look at them at the 50. Their coaches are trying to get them back over.
Yeah, the coaches realize it. The players do not.
And now Keystone will take a timeout, so they don't want to be caught off guard here. Wild ending here to this championship game. I mean, did not see this coming. So
a little too early celebration, but that's okay.
So as they take that timeout, we'll give out a few more thank yous here on this season, as it's been a fun one, and we've been real excited to come out to all these stadiums and cover them, and in most cases double headers, getting quite a bit of action. Jared, you've been in a couple different roles here on the mic, on air this season, and get the experience both play-by-play and as the analyst side. Paul, same way, and also on the camera this season, getting us all these great shots, and tonight braving the cold. So we really appreciate him for that. Duke joining us for the first time this season, helping keep the stream going, and also Sam Soku, who's been out here with us many times this year, well, the whole season, I should say. So big thank you to all his efforts as well in all these hosting stadiums. So it's going to be a quarterback. Oh, and the ball shoots out, so I don't even know if anybody had possession. And we're going to see a touchback, Keystone jumping on it. So that will be the end of the ball game here from Firelands High School. Keystone winning the Junior LC8 championship 22-0 as the players mob the field here. And we'll head towards the 50 to shake hands and wrap up the 2024 season here in the Junior LC8 Football League on the Lorain County Sports Network. A big congratulations to those Wildcats as they hit their stride and had maybe the most dominant postseason run the 5th and 6th grade Junior LC8 group may ever see. I mean,
outscoring their opponents 72-0 in 3 playoff games. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It certainly is. And also Firelands, who through everything was able to make it to this point this season, and they did a lot with their defense and played with a lot of heart and courage this season. So very commendable to both of these teams to make it to this point. And that will do it for the 2024 season here on YouTube overall, as we won't see you again until basketball season begins. So a big thank you for coming along. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube so you know all the details for our next upcoming events and streams. I'm Max Drummond for Jared Vinecourt, Paul Williams, Duke on the stream. Thank you and have a great weekend.